Hey you guys, good morning and welcome back. So, every once in a while, even I am shocked by how our decodes seem to preempt the mainstream news. And this happens sometimes literally within hours of a show that we do. What am I talking about? Well, in this instance, some very interesting developments literally hours after we rescreened our Highlander Trump short decodes. Remember this? This was from a couple days ago. This is the opening monologue from the Highlander movie. From the dawn of time we came, moving silently down through the centuries, living many secret lives, struggling to reach the time of gathering, when the few who remain will battle to the last. No one has ever known we are among you until now. And of course, the rest is history. This actually really literally played out in the movie, The Last Battle in New York. We just showed you guys all these decodes showing Trump Tower in the background as they're battling it out. Well, hours after we rescreened those old decodes, Kanye West tweets out that he and Elon Musk and Donald Trump are the Immortals. Here it is. This is crazy. Kanye West thinks Donald Trump, and Elon Musk are going to live forever. Now, listen to the specific way he says this, because the vernacular of the word immortals is specifically from Highlander. They are called the Immortals. Let's read this and see if we can find any clues in here about what he's talking about. Now, we're not covering this because I think Kanye West is some important person. We're covering this because of the synchronicity. We all know that Kanye West is borderline mentally ill. He's a very bizarre human being, but there's a reason why they allow him to remain to be popular and to still be relevant. So what we're doing here is taking note of these people's actions who are still very popular and relevant because they're signaling things, aren't they? Let's keep reading here. The controversial rapper has made wild claims about his son, blah, blah, blah. Over the past weekend, he made a bold statement on X. Me, Trump, and Elon, the Immortals, wrote Kanye. The best to ever do it, while some disputed it, not the same. What have you really built? So this is the criticism of what he said, but people don't understand that he's signaling something. So here's the date, April 27th. And earlier that morning, we uploaded the Highlander videos, and he calls them the Immortals. Pretty spooky, right? Now, today we're going to finish up the last of those Trump decodes, and we're going to see what we foreshadowed before it happened way back in 2020. We should be able to get through these pretty quick. I'm going to check in with you guys, and then we'll try to finish up these shorts. And if you didn't know, we're doing this review so that people who come across our videos can see the sequence of events that led us to anticipate all of the changes that are happening now that we're seeing in the world. And I know it can be, grueling for those of you who already are awake, but the gospel is supposed to be directed to the sinners, not the righteous. So as long as the world is still fooled by Trump, our job is never done. And you can look at it that way. This is work that we're doing, right? To help people understand the right left paradigm, to help people come to Christ. And by you being here, and I appreciate your support, and confirming and affirming these findings, affirming, the foreshadowing of things that we covered that then came to pass, and then looping that in with the gospel so that people know where to go for salvation. And they actually believe the Bible because biblical events are happening all around them that relate to this reality. When you become part of that, you become part of the gospel message, because without people here affirming this information, then it falls on deaf ears, doesn't it? So thank you. Thank you for being here. But we should never give up the fight. You could almost look at this as a supercharged way to send the gospel out, right? Because we're all working together to help people to wake up. Now, let me just give you one example, okay? From the beginning, we told people, do not get the it. The it is dangerous. We all know what it is. But a lot of people waffled. A lot of YouTube channels who people thought were awake were getting it, right? Or believed in Trump who made it. And so those very people, had they been following this channel, like all of you, they would have been free from that. And now we're seeing all of the bad things that have happened from the it, people dying, and we're seeing how they're looping it in with the artificial intelligence. They're saying now they're going to come out with technologies to cure cancer now using the artificial intelligence. So now we're seeing the clear picture. But before, people didn't see it. People were in fear or they wanted to keep their job, so they got it. So this is just one example, okay, of dozens that I could share with you. All right. So let's get through the rest of these. And then after today, though, we're going to get back to other things, the headlines and all those things, decodes related to other stuff. But honestly, everything is AI now, you guys. It's all moving in that direction. And the father of AI is Trump. So we're always going to cover him as long as he's president. All right. Now, just like Obama kind of drifted off into, irrelevance, after Trump is no longer president, we'll move on to the next president who is selected or elected, right? Selected, we know. Well, let's continue on with this. Now, this one is crazy. Bizarre Trump cameo confirms it all is the title of this next one in the series. This released on November 1st, 2020. So just before the it was released. Because remember, it was released later in 2020, like Christmas time is when it came out. Let's watch this. Hey guys, Enter the Stars, and it's the Sunday. And I wanted to do a quick video for you showing you how deep this matrix really goes. Now, this is 1989, and those of you that grew up in this era remember Bobby Brown and the song On Our Own. Oh. Now, the significant thing about this music video is that Donald Trump makes an appearance, as well as Bobby Brown on the front of Trump Tower. And I'm going to show you that footage in a second from the music video, but I wanted you to see the symbolism first and look at the chest of Bobby Brown. There's a circle over a plus sign, which just so happens to be the alchemical symbol for copper. Now, copper has many alchemical symbols. We've reviewed some of those on this channel, but this one in particular, as you can see, is pictured on Bobby Brown's chest as he's singing the lyrics, "Don't know where the cards may fall," which is, I believe, is the Trump card, and I believe On Our Own is an acronym for New World Order. And here they are. Here he is in front of Trump Tower. Now, what's even more significant is that we'd uncovered what Trump is and how he relates into the actual Superman matrix, and that his Trump Tower looks like the Superman chest insignia. It forms a twin of another tower called the IBM building, and we're going to go into that in more detail on a live show next week, because I found out where those buildings are oriented towards or where they're pointing towards, and it just so happens to be Wardenclyffe, where Tesla had the Wardenclyffe Tower. So we took the two buildings, Trump Tower and the IBM building next door. We realized that they're fast forward symbols on the old VCRs. And when we took a line and figured out where the arrows were pointing to, they literally pointed directly to Wardenclyffe Tower, just a few miles away, well, about 57 miles away, actually, at a 76-degree heading. Let's keep watching here. Both of those towers point directly to Wardenclyffe on Long Island, 57 miles away at a 76-degree heading. And the Hebrew year 5776 is when Trump took the presidency in 2016. So, the literal heading and length of miles to Wardenclyffe Tower literally is the Hebrew year when Trump first won in 2016. 58 years after 1958. Trump Tower is 58 stories tall. It's also 66 stories tall, and Trump also won 66 years after 1958. Keep watching. Let's watch this here, because first you're going to notice that there is a phone booth. And we went over the phone booth matrix and what that means. The phone booth is the copper. Why? Because all telephone lines are copper, and the phone booths are filled with copper coins. Most coins are 70 to 90% copper inside.
I woke up the next morning and I felt like Superman.
And that was likely the possession event. The serpent in the chest. So the phone booth is prominent. Then when we fast forward and continue listening and watching, we get one of the ghosts. So obviously we know what that means. The Trump car. Now I think this is Trump's other building. He owns, I think this is the Plaza Hotel, which is on Central Park. And so Bobby Brown's above that one as well. Let's keep watching. In between the phone booth and Christopher Reeve, who makes a Superman appearance. That's Christopher Reeve. He was like, he was in his 30s, I believe, in this shot here. He's on a bicycle. And here we see Christopher Reeve and Donald Trump sandwiched in between the two. Now you're starting to see what's really going on here. Now we looked at all of the different synchronicities about time travel and how that fits into the phone booth. There's something that Trump has or knows about that he's not telling us. So I wanted to put this together for you. We'll go into more detail on this in another show. Take care and be safe, you guys. Next, Trump, Jonas and Jambre. Hey guys. Now this is Jonas and Jambre from the Egyptian magicians. That's what this one's about. Let's watch this. The stars. And here we are. Jonas and Jambres in front of the Pharaoh's court. Snakes eating snakes. What am I talking about? Well, this is an old biblical passage that many people know about two magicians that came before the Pharaoh's court to battle Moses and Aaron. And what ended up happening is they turned rods into snakes. And it's interesting because Trump talks about being the snake But when we dig deeper and look at these two biblical figures, Jonas and Jambres, immediately the Janus archetype jumps out at us, because we've been covering this for several months now, comparing Trump to Janus, the two-faced god. We found all kinds of clues linking Trump to Janus. We saw Paul Revere and the two-headed Janus coin. And Trump is a Gemini. And that rabbit hole goes very deep if you're unsure about the connection between Trump and Janus. But this other character is what interested me. Jambres. Now, according to She Knows, Jambres means poverty, bitter, a rebel. Now, what could that possibly mean? Well, when you really think about that, Joe Biden claims poverty, did he not? He always talked about being poor. Here are some of the news articles about Biden claiming poverty. Now, I don't believe for a second that he's really poor, but it's the role he is playing. Republicans versus Democrats, rich versus poor. This is what they've always claimed about each other, is it not? So this brings us to Jonas and Jambres, both snakes. In the end, the person who won this battle was God, the Most High, and the fake God, the fake Pharaoh, lost the battle. Now look at some of these depictions of Jonas and Jambres. Interesting they put this arch back here. We've been talking all about the arch. I began to wonder, what is this all about? Well, this is the portal. They actually show an arc of triumph back here in the background. And that is just very bizarre. Now, of course, it's just one depiction of Jonas and Jambres, but I thought that this was interesting nonetheless. Let's read about these two biblical figures before we move on to the snake bite and where we're all headed. You see, Jonas created the venom, and Jambres, which is bitten, will deliver the venom. The two sides work together. And this is why I believe these two biblical characters were explained to us, because God wanted us to see the right-left paradigm. The rich magician and the poor magician. Basically two sides to the same coin. They're both. Now let me remind you here. This Jonas and Jambres was a foreshadowing of the snake on the pole. Because remember, Aaron and Moses threw down their poles or their staffs, and they turned into snakes. That event happened before the snake on the pole that the Israelites had to look at in order to be saved, after they begged for a golden calf. They literally made a golden calf and wanted to worship it. Now, understand that the snake on the pole is the symbol for the medical community. It's also a symbol for the false healing. The true healing, and the reason why God put the snake on the pole, the fiery serpent, because it was punishment. The punishment fits the crime. If the Israelites wanted healing and they wanted to worship the golden calf, well, here's what you're going to get, is basically what God said. Fiery serpents. You have to look at the pole with the snake on it to live, if that's what they choose. But the true healing is Jesus on the pole, Jesus on the cross. So we just went through an entire period of history where everyone had faith in the snake on the pole instead of Jesus on the pole, right? Let's keep watching here. Magicians, they're both sent to deceive you. They're both snakes. So it says here, in Jewish and Christian traditions, Jonas and Jambres are the names given to magicians mentioned in the book of Exodus. This naming tradition is well attested in ancient and medieval literature, in Latin manuscripts of the New Testament, and in Latin writing traditions. Their names are known as Jonas and Jambres. They're not specifically mentioned in the Tanakh and the Hebrew Bible, but the Egyptian wise men and sorcerers are mentioned in Exodus. So here's the passage. Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh called his wise men and sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantment. They cast down every man his rod, and they became as serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. Now, why would their rods become serpents? Why would Moses and Aaron's rod become a serpent, or Aaron's rod in this case? Because God was mocking Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh is the serpent. He's the one with the serpent on the pineal gland coming out of the forehead. Or the serpent coming out of the chest. The spear coming out of the chest, like we talked about in the Donnie Darko. As well as Stargate SG-1. They had a whole storyline of this serpent in the chest. Do you see how all this fits together with everything we've been talking about now? These portals. This is how the ancient Egyptians trumped time, through arcs of triumph. By reanimating old DNA, repossessing those bodies throughout time. So why would God have his holy servants turn it into a snake, the rod into a snake? It's because he was mocking the Pharaoh. Pharaoh came back with his magic, but of course it did not work. Because in the end, God created everything. He has power. Now I'm going to pause myself again because I just made another connection. The golden calf that the Israelites created and why God punished them was worshipped. The Egyptians worshipped the bull. So the Israelites were basically saying, we want to go back to Egyptian practices. Now, the Bible doesn't specifically say that, but you have to put two and two together. We know that the Egyptians worshipped cows and calves. And so the Israelites making a golden calf was them basically saying, we want to go back to Egypt. And so God punished them with serpents. It was a reminder of this whole serpent staff battle between Aaron and Moses and Jonas and Jambre. Let's keep listening. Power over all matter. So this is the story between these two battles. Now, of course, the true paradigm is good versus evil. And that would be God's holy servants versus the knockoff counterfeit servants of the Egyptian Pharaoh. Do you see how the fake paradigm is exposed and the true paradigm is revealed in this story? Now, I'm not going to belabor you all the details of this. You can read up on that for yourself. But where is all this leading? Well, the State Bar of New York is now entertaining the thought of making VCs mandatory. This is from law.com. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Now, as I'm presenting this show, this is not a live show. I pre-recorded this yesterday for you guys so that I could be in the chat with you. So if you have questions, I'm in the chat right now, and you can just drop those questions in there. We can have discussions about this. But it says here, this is a resolution and does contain conditions limiting its scope. So the rest is history on that. Let's get on to the next video, and I'll put a link to this entire playlist that we're going to finish up today in the pinned comment. Next video. Well, he finally did it. Trump launches his new platform, and it's touted as a Twitter knockoff, but it's nothing like Twitter. Now, this is what seems to be a modular type of platform. This is it here. It's called DonaldJTrump.com, the desk. So it appears as though this could be built out to something more, but as it sits now, it pretty much just has his daily posts of what he wants to say without being censored. And there's, of course, a store at the top here, which is to be expected. There's a contribute button. There is some talk on here about the next run for presidency. And so for people that are interested in this and still have hope, this is probably something they would sign up for if they're still living in the right-left paradigm. You can also add down here to sign up for alerts. And he'll get your name, your phone number, and your email, and be able to stay in contact with you. Now, I won't sign up for this because there's really no reason to unless you're a follower. And the problem with this is it doesn't allow people to sign up, make accounts, build followers, and get the word out about some of the things that he claims to stand for. The grassroots, the me and you, some of the things that YouTube originally was founded on, you and me. This seems to be more about him. And that's fine for people that believe in him, but he can't do it alone. There needs to be crosstalk. There needs to be the ability for people whose voices are the loudest to rise to the top, to share information. And again, this seems to be modular, so I'm sure they'll add that on later, but maybe they won't. But for now, this seems to meet the needs of the people that are hungry to hear from him, which he's now been pretty much banned off of most platforms. So there are a lot of people out there that still follow him and want to hear what he has to say, and that this particular website will probably meet their needs. Now, what is Faux News saying about this? Launches a new communications platform months after Twitter and Facebook ban. Now, they're saying it's very expensive to build the infrastructure necessary to have any kind of platform to compete with YouTube, but I don't quite buy that. That's what they're telling us, because that's a convenient excuse as to why only certain information is allowed to be on the internet in any successful form, in the form of something like a YouTube website. But other sites have tried to do it with a lot less funding. I would like to see something similar to what you see on like Odyssey or BitChute. Those weren't multi-billionaires who made those sites. And I would like to see Trump do something like that, if this is all sincere. I have my concerns, though. In the same way that the whole Capitol event went down, and the people that showed up are still on the roast, still being tracked down, thrown into court, fined, losing their livelihoods just because they showed up to an event. I believe that they will be continued to mine people's data. You will go on a list, and you will be part of the people who will be electronically harassed and have knocks at your door when you start talking about certain things in other social media platforms. Now, the platform does allow for you to share his posts, but not your own. So we'll see how all this goes down. I think there was something else I wanted to show you on here. I think it says paid for by Save America JFC, a joint fundraising committee PAC, not authorized by candidates of the committee. So this is what's paying for that. These are coming from the contributions that people have made to these organizations. But on the negative side, a lot of people are calling this a glorified web page and not a social media site. I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but this is definitely nothing compared to the abilities that we had on other platforms, and us and the people being part of the platform, not just one person. So what does Faux News have to say about this? Launched a communication platform on Tuesday, which will serve as a place to speak freely and safely. Eventually give him the ability to communicate directly with his followers after months of being banned. From the desk of DJT appears. Space allows Trump to post comments, images, and videos. Now, of course, this site went on to become Truth Social, which, of course, is now very popular among conservatives and the MAGA crowd. But these were the early parts of Trump trying to create his own social media platform. Let's keep watching. A beacon of freedom arises. So this is what's pretty much on there, all of his content. Again, I would like to see this expanded. I wouldn't say that I would never sign up for something like this if he had some similar type of platform as YouTube or Twitter, just to see what would happen, as long as you could maintain your anonymity by doing so. So, I don't know. It says Trump's new platform surfaced Tuesday after advisors had told Faux News that the former president planned to move forward to create a social media platform of his own after being banned from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat after the Capitol riots. Great resource to find his latest statements and highlights from his first term in office, but this is not a new social media platform. See, they're admitting that here, even on Fox News. We'll have additional information coming on that front in the very near future. Okay, so we'll keep our eyes peeled, ears open. Now, as you can imagine, a lot of the people on YouTube that are still part of the Letter That Shall Not Be Named group are overselling this. They're making it sound like all their dreams have come true. In fact, I got a link I heard about this from another channel that is knee deep in the movement and basically oversold it. So I had to come see for myself. And of course, this is nothing compared to like a Twitter site, but it is a start. I guess you could say that. But beware of channels out there overselling this kind of stuff, making it sound like all your questions have been answered. See, they don't want you as part of the process. They don't want grassroots discussions about what's wrong in this country. They want to basically assign you a leader, and you get to listen to that leader and cheer them on. That's what they really want. And that's what this site appears to be so far. Now, here's some of the comments down here. And there's a lot of support for him, of course. But some people are disappointed in the one-way communication. He says he has a real opportunity to create a new social media site that puts a serious dent in Twitter, Facebook, and Twitter. Okay, let's move on to the next video. The Tesla Wyndham New Yorker Trump Tower Matrix.
I'd like to quote Shakespeare, John Donne, Gertrude Stein. I admit the last one is a bit of an anachronism, but I couldn't resist.
33,000 square foot penthouse.
Fragments of prior builds. The reveries must be allowing him to access them.
No cause for alarm, Bernard. Simply our old work coming back to haunt us.
All right, so let's keep watching this here. Okay, let's fix the playback speed. Sometimes I speed myself up because I talk slow. Let's keep going. And the Wyndham New Yorker also has 33,000 square feet for the two of conference space. Let's keep watching. Trump Tower, just a few feet short of 666 feet high. There's that number 64 in the Wyndham New Yorker, the number of suites, 4664. Of course, Trump was born in 46. Let's keep watching. Wyndham New Yorker, 1,083 rooms. Trump Tower, 1983, 38 years ago at the time of this video. 43 floors at the Wyndham New Yorker, 34 lifts at Trump Tower. So, this is all mirrors. The buildings are mirroring each other.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
58 floors at Trump Tower and 66 floors Trump admits. Started. And when he first wanted to run for president, 1996. Then I took Trump Tower and I said it. Next to the Wyndham New Yorker, and there you see they look very similar. It's the step style, step pyramid. They're just imposed on top of one another. I stretched it out, and they look very similar, don't they? The stepping effect. That is just so creepy. See if there's any commentary in this video. I think this is just me showing stuff. The 7 steps. So both have the 7 steps. Trump Tower and the Wyndham New Yorker. So they mirror each other. It's a 77. Pretty spooky, right? The Wyndham New Yorker is 33,000 square feet of conference space. Now, what connects these two buildings? Well, something very strange. Nikola Tesla died in the Wyndham New Yorker, and there are ties between him and John Trump, the uncle of Donald Trump. As above, so below. Now, Trump Tower is 664 feet, just 2 feet shy of 666 feet high. And we have 64 suites in the Wyndham New Yorker. So we have another match. There are many other similarities as well. The number of rooms at the Wyndham New Yorker is 1,083. And when you look at Trump Tower, it was built in 1983, 38 years ago. So again, as above, so below. Now, we have a documentary video suggesting that both John Trump and Tesla were working together on technology, the early stages of 5G whiz, radar technology. And this was probably taking place at Brookhaven National Labs. Now, there are even more strange numerical synchronicities. For instance, the floor count at the Wyndham New Yorker is 43 floors, and we have the mirror of that at Trump Tower at 34 elevators. These buildings were obviously built to mirror one another. As above, so below. Now, there's something weird about Trump Tower. It's said to have 58 floors, but the penthouse falls on the 66th floor. Now, this is confusing to a lot of people, but it's the way that the building is numbered. So all I did was take those two numbers and add them to the opening year of the Wyndham New Yorker to see if there was a connection. 1930 is when it opened, and so I first added 58 for the number of floors in Trump Tower. That gave us 1988, which of course was the first presidential bid by Trump, as if they somehow knew the future. Then I took 1930 and I added 66th for the 66th floor penthouse, and that came out to 1996. And according to secret files, that was another year that Trump thought he would win the presidency. Now, this is mind-blowing, because had I taken this to the next step, I would have realized that he was for sure going to win the second presidency 66 years after 1958. But I don't think I made that connection here, but it's pretty obvious, right? Two presidencies mirroring the two real presidencies that he actually won. Let's watch. Now, you can't make any of this up. It is what it is. There's a numerical, mathematical overlay. So I decided to take the floor plan for Trump Tower to see if it might fit onto the Wyndham New Yorker facade. And in fact, it absolutely does. In fact, it almost fits exactly. Both have 7 steps. Now, many people have done a lot of work on the number 77, and it appears as though we have some kind of connection between Trump Tower and Tesla's Wyndham New Yorker, the building that he died on the 33rd floor and had his things confiscated by Trump's uncle, John Trump. So it appears as though we've solved the secret of 77, the 7 steps on each building, above and below. Take care and be safe, you guys. Wow. The next is Trump's Bell's palsy and alopecia clues during his WWF or WWE wrestling career that seemed to signal the coming Bell's palsy and alopecia that would happen during the pandemic. Watch. Wow. Insane. 13 years before COVID. And now we've got people's faces drooping, Bell's palsy. It was the shape of things to come. Now I fully understand that the commentator had that established condition already. I get all that. But what are the odds? And then Trump actually hired McMahon's wife into the cabinet during this second term. Insane. This brings us almost to the present with this next video. Well, let's take a look. We're almost done, you guys. This was the night drone era. At the end of Biden's presidency, Trump had already won, but there's that 2-month overlap from the election to the inauguration, and the night drones started to appear in New Jersey and all over the United States. And remember, Trump promised to find out what they were about once he got elected, and we found a movie. The movie was all about night drones and Palantir. Watch. These are scenes from the movie. We've got drones flying overhead, drones and of different types, right? Enter the stars. And something very strange is happening. In the 1990s, a film called Escape from LA released, and it was all about fire tornadoes engulfing Los Angeles. In fact, there were mass deportations. People were denaturalized in the film as well. They had their citizenships revoked. And there was a president who said he would be the last president. There was surveillance, and they were essentially imprisoned on an island. Wow, mind blown. It's all happening right now under Trump's first 100 days. Exactly the plot of Escape from LA, the denaturalization, the last president. He's now saying he's going for a third term. Let me show you that. Donald Trump left everyone scratching their heads with his bizarre response about running for a third term. And he says he's looking into it. This is insane. Literally insane. And we released this video 3 months ago, January 11th, before he was even inaugurated. And look at everything that's happened. Let's keep listening here. In Los Angeles, an island surrounded by a swamp on the left of your screen, a swamp that almost resembles the profile of Donald Trump. Now here's where things get spooky, because I overlaid a map of the fires happening in Los Angeles. And as you can see, it almost appears as though his hair is on fire. The swamp is on fire. This is unbelievable. This is a literal shot from this movie. And there you see Palantir on the building along with its logo. This is from the movie. What's the name of the movie? I think I'm gonna say it here in a minute. Later, Trump would go on to have a robo-dog in front of Mar-a-Lago. He's now also signed an executive order to give pro bono free defense for the police who are being sued. Here's the headline. Trump's new executive order says private law firms will do free work for accused cops. The police state now has the backing of the federal government to get free defense if you need to sue them for them knocking your teeth out or something. Let me check in with you guys. I know this is shocking, but you have to show people how we were already warning about all this. It's the only way people are going to wake up. Now, I know people are saying, oh, there's other channels talking about how accurate they were. I don't think anyone can argue that we literally told everyone exactly what was going to happen, and it's exactly happening. Let's keep watching here. This was from January of this year, before Trump even got inaugurated. And here's this film, basically, of everything that's happening right now. I said we voted for this. I tried to warn everyone. And this is actually what's happening at the border right now. They've militarized the border. Palantir now has a contract, $30 million contract to use AI and pre-crime on the border. There you see Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. Chairwoman Trump celebrates 30 years in power. So the presidency never ended? Are you awake yet? I hope you are. I really hope you are. Cameras everywhere, tied into probably Stargate AI once it's complete.
America has changed. You understand that?
Everything is called sedition. As you can see here, it says protocol breach, sedition. Wow. I can't even believe this.
I think to create the perfect union of democracy, it's been a struggle from the get-go.
Yep, there was the border there. As you can see here, let's rewind this. That's the border. Basically turning it into almost like the Gaza Strip. Now, why can't I remember the name of this movie? Maybe it's in the pin comment here. What is this? More on Palantir. Oh. I think it's called 2073. I should just probably go back into the movie's called 2073. Now, let's get into, this is the very last short video. It's 2 minutes long. And we'll be done, and then we'll go into the chat for discussion. See, obviously, the channel's being suppressed. The videos like this should go viral so people can wake up. Well, now they probably will, because it's like literally what's happening now was in this movie. Let's go to the next one here. All right, you guys, enter the stars. And this is a quick trailer for tomorrow's very important live show. Everything is developing just as we said it was. Talks of another pandemic with Bill Gates. We also have Palantir hooking up with a new artificial intelligence drone swarm startup that literally does not even need a drone operator. They operate on their own. Some of these drones are actually called bats, a swarm of bats. We're going to cover all this tomorrow, but I wanted to give you guys the heads up on the eve of the Eggnog the Nation. This is what Palantir is hooking up with. Shield AI. This is something out of a bad Captain America movie. They call these things bats, a swarm of bats. They call it the hive mind, literally, in this article. This is everything we've been warning about. It's coming to pass. We also have several last-minute diplomats from China that are, obviously, they planned this long in advance. This wasn't just a last-minute thing, that are going to attend the Eggnog the Nation. And we've got Bill Gates talking about how he talked with Trump for 3 hours about polio. Now they're going after polio at warp speed. This is something right out of the 1939 World's Fair that was all about the same thing, in which the Trump family billboard appeared with an RX stylized in the name. The world of tomorrow. It's like we're in some kind of a warp speed time loop. Let me show you that real quick. Queen's Chronicle. Trump billboard. Here it is. Now these were Trump's father. And here's the billboard that was at the 1939 World's Fair. And it's stylized This was in Queens. This was in Corona Park, Queens, New York. And there's the Trilon and Perisphere, and Trump's name stylized to say RX, the homes of tomorrow. Now, there was a similar billboard to this in Back to the Future called was it the World of Tomorrow? No, it was the Homes of Tomorrow as well. Look just like this. Let me go into the chat. That's about all I think any of us can take today, because this is a lot of heavy information. But it is pertinent. It is real. Everything we said was going to happen is now happening on some level. Not that we knew. It's the guidance of the Holy Spirit trying to warn people, trying to tell them that this is all happening. So how many people wake up? Well, you just being here, watching the videos, thumbsing them up, is helping other people to see the relevance of this content. And that's the part you can play in helping people to wake up. Okay. All right. I'm in the chat, you guys. This is insane. You guys have any questions? Did you guys notice the pines? Twin pines, lone pines. Look at this. There's 2 pine trees, one on each side, twin pines. This was during the polio era, 1939, just before polio kicked off. And they called it wasting disease. They had a whole exhibit at this World's Fair on polio, or they called it wasting disease at the time. And then later, they would vaccinate everybody. Look, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's those stars down here. These are like 5 stars. And apologies for the blurriness of it, but this is the only image that remains from this era. So this goes way back, even to the 1930s, you guys. The Trump family name. Unreal. All right. Yes, polio is named after Apollo, Apollio, police, politics, political. It's all from the root word Apollo. Yes, the elites get rich because we're all divided. Exactly, Jeremiah. And they thrive off of the right-left paradigm. Until you wake up and realize they're all working together, the 2 magicians, Jonas and Jambre, Trump and Biden. Biden had to be as bad as he was so that Trump could contrast him. Why do you think none of the left-wing policies make any sense? Why would a Democrat want to let a bunch of illegals come across the border? Don't they know that that would hurt them politically? They did it on purpose because they were playing their magic part. Look how bad they, quote unquote, lost. You would think they would have pivoted, right? And said, oh, no, but they had to contrast Trump so that we accept everything that comes with Trump. The police state, they're practicing on the border. What do you think they're practicing for, you guys? They're practicing for all of us. And now we're all locked in behind an electronic fence. Fences go both ways, you guys. Yes, they're tracking illegals, but when you go down to Mexico, do you want to have drones flying over your head, military with guns? Oh, there's a gun. You get mowed down with a freaking machine gun like you're going through the Gaza Strip. Is that what you signed up for? That's not what I signed up for. Good cop, bad cop. Exactly. So, all right, you guys, we're going to leave it at that. This is a long show. Tomorrow, it will be all headlines. Some of the headlines I covered today because it related directly to some of these old decodes. I'm still blown away, you guys. I'm still blown away. But I will see you guys tomorrow with the rest of the headlines. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I love each and every one of you, and thanks for being here. Being here is helping the content be relevant. That is what's going to change people's minds. That's what's going to help bring people to the gospel. That's what's going to wake people up to the beast agenda that is rising all around us so they cannot partake in it. so they can prepare for these last days instead of being invested in this system that we're told to trust. And that's what this is all about. Have a great rest of your day, you guys. Much love.